Okay, we are live, I think. Yes? Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Dr. Satyan Sharma, on the MindSmith broadcast again. And today I'm going to talk about this very important topic, alcohol. This one word affects many individuals in our society and not all of them in a very good way. It is crucial that we approach the subject of alcohol with more knowledge and with more maturity. Alcohol is one of the oldest and most widely used psychoactive substances in the world. The first evidence of alcohol being used recreationally comes from about 7000 BC. Alcohol on your brain acts like a depressant, which means that it slows down the nervous system, the brain, and various parts of the body connected with the brain, including your breathing as well as your heart rate. In ancient Sumeria, which was the first place where beer was brewed, there is evidence that people were using beer and alcohol 4000 years before Christ. Now, alcohol in today's society can be a very tempting escape from the stresses and challenges of our day to day lives. But it's very important to remember that it can also have several harmful effects on both our physical and mental health, as well as our relationships and our overall well being. It can become a habit very soon. Almost 10% of the people who will ever use alcohol, almost 10 people out of 100, have it in their genetic material to become dependent on alcohol. And then they'll find it very difficult to overcome the pull and the hold which alcohol has over their lives without professional help. Now, alcohol affects different people differently. So it would be unfair to compare how alcohol affects a group of friends and how it affects that one individual who has a genetic vulnerability towards alcohol. And we need to create a culture of empathy and understanding and encouraging those individuals to seek help without any judgment or any shame coming their way. It's like having any other disease. It's like having diabetes. It's like slipping in the bathroom and dislocating a shoulder. It's like breaking a bone. It's like having high blood pressure. Do any of these conditions, do they excite the same kind of judgment and anger? On the contrary, they mostly attract a lot of empathy, a lot of help, a lot of, you know, a lot of positive emotions in helping that person overcome those biological problems. So we should recognize that alcohol use is not a sign of weakness of character, but it's a medical problem which requires professional intervention. What are the early signs of alcohol dependence? One of the biggest red lights should be increased tolerance, where a person can handle huge amounts of alcohol and boasts that it doesn't have that kind of an effect on him or her. There can be withdrawal symptoms, which means that if regular usage of alcohol does not happen, it starts showing up as physical symptoms. And there is mostly, you will find, a preoccupation with drinking. Most of these people would like to talk about or plan about how and which alcohol they want to consume next. And after some time, the quality stops mattering at all. It's about just the next usage. Alcohol addiction is more prevalent amongst men than women. But women are more likely to experience the negative health consequences of increased alcohol use. Now, the age at which a person starts drinking can have a huge effect about their risk of developing alcohol addiction or dependence. People who start drinking at a younger age with a more sensitive brain receptor system are more likely to become addicted to those who start drinking later in life. Alcohol addiction, as I've said earlier, is a disease. It can sneak up on us. And there is no pre test which can be done to find out what kind of a relationship a person is going to have with alcohol. It often starts with social drinking or an occasional overindulgence, and then it can spiral quickly out of control. A physical, mental health problems, a liver issue, probably mood effects, maybe anger outbursts, and it can have several other complications. It can also affect how a person functions in day to day life. It can create problems with work. It can wreak havoc on the finances. And personal relationships are usually a huge price, which many a times this person may have to pay. It is essential to understand that alcohol addiction is not a choice. It's not a moral failing. It's a medical condition. And what do medical conditions need? They require professional help and support. Once we are able to reach the right kind of a doctor who's trained to help people with alcohol dependence, we can start addressing the problem in the right way. And for this, we need empathy, we need compassion. We need to recognize that those people who are struggling with alcohol addiction are not morally weak, but they are very brave if they are just seeking for help. And that many a times can be the biggest step. Now, alcohol addiction can have significant impact on several areas, right? And if left untreated, in some conditions, it has also been seen that it can lead to the worst mental health outcome, a completed suicide. One of the biggest challenges with alcohol addiction is that recognition and acknowledgement of the problem. Many a times we see patients who overuse denial as a mode of coping with alcohol or substance addiction. And it takes a significant event or a major crisis to recognize that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. However, it is important to remember that it is never too late to seek help. There are many resources now available which help people struggling with alcohol dependence, including support groups, including counseling, rehabilitation programs, as well as tailor made and designed programs by psychiatrists and psychologists, which can provide individuals with the tools and the support which they need to overcome addiction and live a healthy and fulfilling life. If you yourself or someone you know is struggling with alcohol substance addiction, it is crucial to seek professional help. Remember that you are not alone, and there is always a good hope for recovery. With the right support and guidance, it is possible to overcome it. And definitely, if one person in the world has done it, another person can definitely do that. Now, it can be challenging to watch someone we care about struggle with addiction, especially when that alcohol has caused individuals and their loved ones to go into these cycles of fighting, anger, denial, blaming, and a lot of negative baggage associated with alcohol use. Caregivers can provide an emotional support and a listening ear to those struggling with addiction. They can help individual navigate the complex healthcare systems, and they can help them reach appropriate treatment options. Now, with these practical tasks which can be handled by the caregiver, it becomes much easier for the patient who is struggling with alcohol dependence to finally work meaningfully towards a cure. It is important to remember, however, that someone with alcohol addiction can take a toll on the caregiver's own well being, and it can be emotionally exhausting at times. And caregivers themselves may experience feelings of guilt, anger, frustration at times, and it is crucial for caregivers to prioritize their own self care when they are seeking the support for the patient. Additionally, caregivers can also help support recovery by creating a supportive environment that promotes healthy habits. Good behavior, when it is rewarded, has a higher chance of being repeated. This can include encouragement. This can include healthy eating and exercise habits, setting clear cut boundaries about alcohol use, about financial controls, and providing a positive reinforcement for every milestone and progress which the patient is able to achieve. There's a unique self help activity which I would now like you to try. Find a comfortable and a quiet place where you can sit and relax. Close your eyes and take a few deep, deep breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale slowly through your mouth. Imagine yourself in a peaceful place, surrounded by nature, being nurtured, becoming calmer and more relaxed. Imagine a life without alcohol. Wake up feeling refreshed, energized without alcohol. Spending time with your loved ones, being able to communicate honestly when you have an urge to have a drink, and pursuing those hobbies and interests which used to bring you joy and fulfillment before alcohol entered your life. If you can visualize this healthy and fulfilling life without alcohol, if you can focus on the positive emotions and just bring yourself to this one point where you can be honest enough to admit that you need help, I believe that would be a fantastic starting point, and that's the point from where recovery can begin. Individuals can begin to reprogram their minds to focus on health. They can seek out those necessary tools and that necessary expert help in the form of addiction specializing psychiatrists and psychologists, and they can increase their motivation thus to achieve this one goal. I would now want to just wrap up this conversation by thanking you all for taking this time to learn about alcohol and its impact on our brains and minds, and what are the real practical issues which we need to talk about when we want to overcome it. As a doctor, I have seen firsthand the massive effect which alcohol can cause on individuals and their loved ones. Quitting alcohol, on the other hand, can lead to a very painful series of events. Sometimes it can have tremors, it can cause nausea, it can cause sleeplessness, seizures in the worst cases, and it should be done under the guidance of a professional. There is never a one size fits all treatment for alcohol dependence. It's a combination of therapy, support, medicines, which can definitely take you towards a successful recovery. It's essential to recognize that it can be a dangerous substance for some people, and it is crucial for others to consume it responsibly. If you choose to drink, please do so responsibly and never operate heavy machinery or get behind the wheel after having even small amounts of alcohol. If you are with someone who you know is struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. Like any medical condition, it is something which can be dealt with very effectively if we seek out the right kind of instruments, tools, and expert help to help. The importance of alcohol use responsibly and the hope of recovering from addiction is what can be very important when dealing with alcohol in everybody's lives. Cheering uh, for a very happy and healthy future. I'll see you on the first Thursday of the next month. Thank you very much.